first six-figure year with our amazing client.
Dun dun dun.
Yeah, actually, Joy, I don't know how to pronounce your last name.
Soleil. It's like Cirque du Soleil. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that was correct, and I was just like, I'm like writing it, and I'm like, yeah, okay, I'm just gonna ask because it's funny we've worked together for a year, but see, we're connected by soul, not like names and stuff, right?
Yeah, we're working at soul level.
It's all right. My bookkeeper is still calling me Soleil, so it's okay. We've worked together for like 2 years.
They don't get it. They don't get it.
No, it's fine.
So tell.
Well, I'll hold on. First off, welcome. Let's start this off right. We were like, let's go. We're just pressing live, and like, what are we even talking about? So what we're talking, like, we like to come on here every once in a while and bring on the most incredible people who've just had the most incredible experiences and a message to share. So Joy Soleil, did I say it right? I'm like, yeah. Like, I feel like we got to do this to like really, because you bring the energy too. Like, she's got some big energy that she's bringing today. So Joy is with us. We've been working with Joy for a year. Is it? It's been more
over a year.
Over a year now. And it's been so incredible to see your growth. Like, you're not even the same person when we first started working together. I'm going to let you share a little bit about it. But first, let's give you like the proper introduction. So Joy she's a coach, she's a healer. She understands and works with the mechanics in the quantum realm like I do. Like, we totally connect on that level. And she's just a super powerful person, really working with high achievers and performers and leaders step into their fullest potential and like truly live a life that has it all. So did I tap into that? And is there anything else that needs to be added to the amazingness of what you do?
Well, you just condensed it into like 30 seconds, which is fine because we don't have all day. So
okay, cool.
Well, tell us a little bit more. Give us your synopsis of it all.
Of like the last year?
No, you. We want
to know you.
Yes. Okay. So
Joy.
Yeah, you know what? I've spent like 20 plus years figuring out how do I deal with, like, I'm able to help other people. I've always been a healer in every sense of the word since I was a little kid, but I wasn't given the tools to know how to master myself or my own emotions. And so it's like, great, so you can help everybody else, but you can't even keep yourself in peace and happiness. So basically what I've done is I've taken the last 2 decades of my experiences and condensed them into like a 1-year program for people, because ain't nobody got time for 2 decades. So I did, I have like, my background is in psychology. I did not finish my licensure because I was like, surely there is a better, faster way to help people with their pain and their trauma and to really make something out of it, and to master themselves, which is why I went the coaching route and healing route. So
what's like that whole, like, when you're a black belt, like you have to go like register your hands at the thing as like a weapon. Yeah. Like, you don't want all that.
No, we don't need that.
So, all right. Well, give us a rundown of just where you were, like, before when we first met and we had our call and like all that. Like, where were you then? And then like, what's it been like now? Like, where are you at now? Like, what's the differentiator there?
Yeah. So, obviously I just wanted to help people. Like, that's my first and foremost thing, but it's kind of nice to get paid for the help that you put out in the world. And but it was so minimal. And honestly, for me and my business, like, I just didn't have an option to do anything else because, I was a single mom with 3 kids, homeschooling them because my standards are insanely high about different things. And so I was like, you know what, I just have to make this work. And of course, the pandemic happened. So I really had to make it work, right? Because it's like, well, all my resources, even the hidden ones, need to come to the surface now, because I really needed to make it happen for my family and not just for other people. So talk about putting my whole method into practice in full force. But when I first started with you guys, I mean, I'd done okay. I had my first year is like $27,000. And my second year, officially in business, I should say, my second year was 52. So I doubled it as far as my coaching business. And I was just really struggling with it because I'm like, dang, like, how do I really make an impact and like bring it more? Like, I want to make a deeper impact, but I can't keep depleting myself. So that was kind of the thing. It was like, well, I was working with 40 to 50 people a week. I'd worked with 300 some people over the course of less than 2 years. And I was just burning the flip out. So I really needed help with that. I needed help with structure. I certainly have that entrepreneurial ADHD, like, oh, what if I do this and that? And then just like listening to all the voices. And I really needed to like hone in on something for a period, like commit to something for a period of time, because I knew that if I didn't, I'd just bounce to the next thing and I'd be in the same position I was, in a year. So that's kind of where I was starting out when I hit you guys a little over a year ago.
Boom. So you stayed with one thing and what happened?
Oh, you know what? I'm going to say this about sticking with one thing. It's a little painful because I noticed that one of the things in sticking in it for a year, what I had to do was really face where I was avoiding. So, like this is painful and growth is painful and my brain is swelling and I feel like I'm going to cry and it's taking over my body on a regular basis. Okay. Because this is what happens when you're really expanding. So I really had to work through a lot of that stuff, but I'm going to say this, that in the course of this year, in all of those normal experiences, when you're in a collective group and everybody's going through the same thing, it's really, really nice. But to have the support to come back and be like, dude, I'm really struggling with this stuff, like in the group with you guys, I'm really struggling. This is a struggle. And to have the support of that has been astronomical for me. I just have felt so supported and loved over the course of this year, and really felt like I can tap in more to what my needs and desires are for my business. So rather than bouncing around and avoiding those emotions, I've had to push through them. And it's like, oh snap, yeah, that's a little painful, but that's exactly what I needed over this last year.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we'll talk about that, having the community of people that are kind of at the similar level as you, and like that, iron sharpens iron type situation of like, being around a group.
Yeah. Well, I think it's still in a group. It's kind of tough. Everybody wants to kind of act like they got it all together and and then everybody feels like, oh, wow, I'm not as good as anybody else. So like we're all putting on a veneer and then we're feeling like, man, I can't even measure up to what I'm putting out to other people for myself. But for me, I really took the opportunity to be vulnerable in the group and to just share, hey, like this is where my super struggle is. And it's amazing what happens when you bring that, because then other people start to do that too. Mm-hmm. And so I just was like all in, like, no, I'm not going to hold back. I'm not going to fake it. I'm not going to pretend. I'm just going to be honest about where I am. And that has been the most beautiful thing for me, because then I found connection in what I'm doing to other people. And it's expanded my own impact so much more in my own coaching programs. So it's like, wow, that vulnerability there, and to have the camaraderie of it, like, whoa, we're seriously not alone in this. Like, we're impact makers. We're driven people who want to make an impact. We're not just here to make money. I mean, that, of course we're here to make money, but we really, like, I know within the group, it's like, no, we really want to help people. Like, we really want to make a difference. And so that means that we have to drop our defenses and be vulnerable for ourselves. And so it just puts us in a less scary position. It's like, oh, guess what? I shared what I was really dealing with, what I was really going through, and I didn't die. In fact, it expanded my life in a lot of ways.
Yeah. It's something that I've always loved, is our community of being able to have that space that you can be vulnerable. Like, I've never wanted to have some like deli coaching experience of like, okay, it's your turn. Hey, it's your turn. And then just block off like that's not ever what I wanted it to be. So I'm always creating that space of like how, and us facilitating it, how can we make sure that it has that safe space so that these leaders can come in and feel vulnerable to say like, hey, I'm struggling and this is what I need. And I don't even know what I need right now, but something. I need something. We've had a couple of those.
Oh yeah.
Well, just for context of the deli coaching thing, because we talk about this a lot. And so if it's anybody's ever been in a program where the consistency of the coaching is show up, wait in line for your turn, right? It's like you're at the deli and you're getting like some salami or something.
Gross.
Okay, like a gigantic block of cheese.
Organic turkey breast.
So I just see
anyways.
So and then like you're waiting your turn, and then it's like your turn, and then you say whatever you say, the person, the coach gives you whatever they give you, and then you're like on to the next person. It's not like actually relevant for the whole group necessarily. They don't make it relevant for the whole group, and it's like you're just really there for your few seconds, and then you could totally leave. Or
I have a question. Okay, I got it answered. I'm out.
Yeah.
Like, there's programs out there that's what you do. You go in
you
there,
pay
you
$5, $10K, and that's the consistency of the coaching.
Yeah.
And it's like it can be so much better. So it's like for everyone that's watching this, if this is your program, nothing's wrong. It's just you just don't know better how to structure it. And so like when we've had coaches that have been like that, we're like, ooh. And then we've had other coaches that the ones that like pointed it out that were like, ooh, this is how you don't want to do things. And you can be so much better. So yeah.
Having the delivery and the safe space for vulnerability and transformation is something that is super important for me, for sure.
So let's talk about like what did you discover? If you could break down into like maybe like a 3-prong thing from going from 50K or so last year, which is great for most coaches to be like high five, like that's great, but to break through that 6 figures and like really making the impact and the level that you're making, and then not even that, but like the transformation and getting out of the burnout. Because if you're burning out at 50K and then now you're able to get to 6 figures without that, that's like, it's impressive, right? Because there's a lot of people that are running into that where they're doing good, they're making, they made 50K, but they've blown out their adrenals, like doing that process. And for you to double that and not have to go through that to get there, like what was the things that you kind of discovered here and implemented that allowed you to do that?
Yeah, well, I think it's first probably the systems, because it's so hard to know like what system do I do? I mean, you can go on YouTube and like look at 45,000 different systems and not know which ones to implement. So just knowing, okay, there's like a structure and a system that has worked for somebody that I'm directly connected with, and I can go ask questions and be like, well, I tried this, but it didn't exactly work out the way you said, so let's troubleshoot it. So it's like not a cookie cutter, it has to be this way necessarily, but there's kind of like a mastermind behind it with a set of structure that allows you to like build on it. I mean, I'm not somebody that particularly likes structure. So like if you're not like, if you're a person like me and you like to be in a different place every day of the week and have your schedule all over the place, then structure feels really restrictive. But structure also gives you more freedom. So to be able to have that as a base and then branch out and like find out what works and go and have the support and have people you can bounce it off with is like, it's invaluable.
Yeah. I think that's the difference between having frameworks, right, that are flexible and that are built in people's alignment I'm trying to think the opposite side of what would you say? Like it's like people use it a lot, like a checklist or
this is the way that you must follow.
Yeah, like a road, even a road map, right? Like the road.
You can't go off road. There's no off roading.
Right. Yeah. So frameworks.
I'll be right back. I'm gonna go help Charlie.
allow you to work with your own alignment. Like we talk about this is in the sense of like, some people are aligned to, attract and like just show up and people attract to them. Some people, they respond and we use some, human design and some we're creating our own, way of defining people's like their gifts and their skills and like where they flow best and like how to actually build your business in that way instead of like this is the box that you have to be in and you must follow this and we will not support you outside of this box. It's like, and if it's not working, it's because you're not doing the box or you're not doing the box right or you're not doing enough of the box, right?
Chav, this is one of the things I love about you guys because I know that you're invested in yourselves. So you're always growing and expanding. And even for you, like if something isn't working, you're going to shift it. And I know that you've also dropped deep cash in other programs for yourselves. Mm-hmm. So it's like, that's one thing. I mean, you don't want a coach that's stagnant. That's like, this is the rule book. This is the way and never changes it. Like you want a coach that is willing to adapt and meet you where you are as you're moving and growing, because no one, even in a group program, no one's exactly the same. No one's going in the same direction all the time. That's the challenge of a coach in a group setting. And also it's possible to do it if you're doing your own expansion on yourself. So that's one of the things I just really appreciate about you guys is that you are willing to like see and look and, shift things around. And because you have big players ahead of you, like other coaches that you're drawing from, it's like, of course, this is why you help people be successful themselves because you're doing it, like you're living it.
Yeah, well, it's really interesting taking programs that we've invested over $100,000 or so in the last few years, and then because most of them are not made for our people, right? They're not made for alignment, right? They're not made for energetics.
We've gone through some high ticket bro marketers. We got the strategy, right? But y'all don't want to do that, I promise.
Well, and it's like, how can we beat our head? We literally went through a program and they said, send 100 cold DMs a day and you'll be successful. And like, it's like that works for some people. Like there's probably a percentage, like 20% of people that could actually work for, right?
And they may hate it, and it would work for them.
Yeah, it could work for them. But then there's that other 80% that is not in alignment to them and their gifts and their their energy and all the things, right? So we did it though. We beat our head against that bush.
Actually, you're really good at it. I'm
actually not good at it. So I did do the messages. We booked 11 calls and not one person became a client. Right? So I'm like, this is not the way. So we needed to figure out. So we basically had to refine that program was 12,000. The upsell to that was 17,000. Those two programs, refine all the stuff that could work for our people, take the things that worked and what didn't work, and be able to kind of run it through a whatever and be able to recreate it for people in their alignment and be able to, and we've invested, $25,000 in a program over here. And we actually got, like their permission to share some of the frameworks there. And it's like, and then we've invested this over here and like, we've been able to use this and like, it's created this crazy, like amazing. And then Holly, genius of being able to go through her, like losing memory and looking at objectively of like what worked for some of our clients and what didn't work for others, and be able to look at that and be able to spit out a model that is just so amazing. And so, yeah,
so you're saving people from a decade or two of running around too, just in business. It's the same type of outcome, but I mean, it's like, this is why we hire coaches, right? So we can just get there like a tenth of, like a fraction of the time.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you don't have to spend $100,000 like you did and find the wrong thing and try it and hate it.
3.5 protector over here, just saying. I do that for you, okay? So you guys don't have to mess up and do it for yourself. I'm over here living my best life.
Right.
So, Joy, if like, I know I've asked you this before, I think the last interview, but I'll ask it again since you've now been like the year and like the 6-figure, the whole deal is like, if you could think back of like, if somebody was like on the fence of like hiring us, like what would you tell them?
You know what? This is interesting because when we know we're supposed to do something, like we feel it in our soul, and we're like, this is something I need to pay attention to and move forward with, there's always like this internal battle. And usually the first thing is, well, should I spend the money, right? That's like, well, this is an investment. Should I spend the money? But I think what's really going on beneath the surface with that is, can I really make something out of the money I've invested? Like, am I worth the investment? And so I think if somebody is on the fence about this for themselves, the first question you have to ask is, are you ready to just commit to your success? Because if you're on the fence and you're not getting on the fence and you're questioning your worth and your value, that's going to make it really hard for you to make an impact whether you hire a coach or not. And hiring a coach really just opens the floodgates for something. So it's not the end all be all and it's not the final answer, but what it does is it accelerates your progress, and you just have to be ready to decide, am I ready to go fast or not? And until you make that decision, you're not really going to go anywhere. So you're just going to be the same today or a year from now as you are today. You're going to be the same a decade from now as you are today. And I know nobody wants that. So ultimately, like, yes, the investment, like, you are worth the investment. It's just the question is, do you want to run now with this? Like, are you ready to run and make it messy and have it not be perfect and be ready to just like, hey, take your risks and make your mistakes and realize you're not going to die from it, because it's okay. And in the community aspect, and when you have really supportive coaches like you guys, you might stumble, but you're not going to fall on your face, because nobody's going to let you do that. It's like, okay, like stuff isn't working. There's some painful things going on. Let's work at it together. You just have to decide whether or not you're going to run, or are you cool with staying the same? A year from now, things are the same. 10 years from now, things are the same.
Yeah. Love it.
Yeah, and it.
Love you too.
Love you.
Well, there's been amazing just to see your growth and to see you accelerate in everything. And I don't know, send all that like acceleration times 20. And I know you're up to big things in the world. And I just honor you and your journey. And I'm grateful that I get to be part of it.
Thank you.
For sure. Cool. Anything else?
No. So I guess if you're watching this live or like on the social medias or whatever, and you want support growing your coaching, mentoring, whatever business, something that like you're really out to make a huge impact with, reach out, have a conversation, comment, support, whatever. If you're just wanting more trainings, you need to know more about us. You want, to know how all these frameworks work and how our processes and our models and all the things, just comment training, and we can have that, we'll get you some trainings that we're putting together. So, Joy, thank you so much. Appreciate you.
Behind the scenes, I'm like,
let's falling
over here. Sorry.
Let's get to 7 figures.
Charlie.
Yes.
Woo!
Ready to run.
Let's go.